And welcome to Moneycontrol. I'm Karunya. With me is Manisha, Gupta, and all eyes on metals today. Metals have declined, dollar index has strengthened. Firstly, before we talk about these commodities, let's understand the correlation between dollar index and metals and how that plays out.
All right. So before that, we told you so because we did tell you that we are near peak and there could be some caution.
Just yesterday.
Yesterday. And in 24 hours, we have seen some profit taking come in for metals. One, the China reopening story had played out and the markets now will watch out for the US Fed meeting. Not exactly the quantum, but the forward guidance and the commentary here. And then this is some profit taking finally coming in after that one-way street that we saw in for many of those metals. I think the clapping is for the metal prices coming down. But if you look at copper, we are up 9% in this year. We've gained more than 30% in last 6 months and we haven't seen a meaningful correction, and that's exactly what we are seeing right now. And then the economic data that has come in on the weaker side. So whether it was China retail sales, manufacturing, GDP, and the US retail sales, manufacturing, and the other numbers that have come in on the weaker side, and that's exactly where the markets are taking cues from.
Okay, but since you mentioned that this was an impending correction of sorts, but what happened today or overnight, can we think of it as something meaningful, something more prolonged, or could it be just a minor profit taking and the up move could continue?
Okay, that's really interesting because as of now, yes, it looks like this could get into some profit taking. Markets will watch out for US Fed. I mean, I keep saying that so many times. But the strength in US dollar, markets do believe can stay on because many of the US key Fed officials have talked about higher interest rates for a longer time. So the more times they come out and reiterate that is where you will see some pressure coming in. Also, more importantly, China is not in market for the next week. It's headed for its Lunar New Year holidays. So we are not looking at any China participation into the markets. Whatever restocking that they had to do, they have already done it. We've seen very weak volumes today, and I'm assuming that is what you'll see tomorrow. And the next week is no participation. So that can weigh onto the metal prices here. A meaningful correction, yes, maybe not. Maybe we are headed for 4 to 5 to even 7% of a decline for some of these metal prices. But yes, those would be buying opportunities yet again. So we're not saying that the rally is done with or over with, but some meaningful correction is what the street will want to watch out on the
But
charts.
if there are any buy on dip opportunities, where would people likely place their bets?
I think it's going to be copper, aluminum, zinc, these three metals, because the inventories are at multi-year lows. You have copper for 2 days of global consumption, aluminum is for 4 days of global consumption, and the way zinc physical inventories are marked, once all of that is moved out of the warehouses, you'll have perhaps a day of global consumption worth of zinc lying in LME warehouses. So if the demand does come back in, then you're looking at higher highs. But we do know that next week is not going to be so strong in sense of demand. The physical premiums have continued to decline. So some profit taking is what you should be ready for.
But the week after will be very action-packed. We have our budget, and of course we have the Fed meeting, which
all on the same
a lot
day.
of these commodity markets are relying heavily on. But coming back to the basics, the relation between dollar index and metals, how does that play out?
It's playing out quite nicely as it has done in the previous year as well. When you look at 2022, you know that China had no role to play. It was all about the US Fed, the dollar index moves and the commodities. But this year the markets believe that China will have a role to play because the dollar index now seems to be consolidating around this 100 to 103 kind of levels. If China demand comes in, then is when we will see support. But dollar index has a very strong relationship. When we saw 113 in case of dollar index, you had copper, all the other metals, come off by 30, 40, 50% from its all-time highs that we saw in the previous year.
All right, so you know what to keep your eyes on if there is a correction or a decent, fall in prices. Which ones to keep your eye on? Copper, zinc, and aluminum. So these three are the buzzwords. So with that, it's a wrap. Thank you for watching.
1st February 2023, the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will present the last full union budget before 2024 elections. India's most awaited financial event comes in the midst of global slowdown, inflation, liquidity tightening, geopolitical tensions, and re-emergence of COVID-19. Will India look to fire up its manufacturing? Will India build a moat against global uncertainties? What will the budget have for the middle class? Watch the complete coverage of Budget 2023. Real-time analysis, expert takes all day on Moneycontrol. Log on to www.moneycontrol.com for more.